Do you know what is the most difficult thing after a divorce? Why doesn't a man get to know anyone? Yes, because in a new relationship, he will be tormented by flashbacks. For example, a wedding is no longer the most pleasant association for you. It's all happened in your life before, and you already know the ending. You don't want to live it again. Okay, let's say you found a woman, and you even have a child with her. You come to the hospital, take a newborn in your arms, you're like a father again, and in your head you don't have joy, but the voice of your first son, who tells you, "Dad, when are you coming?" And you suddenly remember the first time you held him, and you begin to feel guilty for creating a replacement for him. And so the nurse tells you, "Congratulations on your son." You try to smile back, but in fact you just vomit from the inside out. That is, there is a split of fatherhood. When you meet with the first child at best on weekends, and you meet with the second every day, and you feel inferior. Also, do you know what kind of stories there are? When you pick up and buy olives on autopilot, because your ex-wife loved them, and your new wife says to you, "Who did you buy olives for? I hate them." That is, even if you find a good woman and bring her to your company, she will be like a foreign body in it. That is, your friends are throwing jokes that the former knew, but the new one is completely off topic. Unfortunately, she is a stranger. She is not part of your story. We understand that after a divorce, a man has 10,000 photos on his phone in 10 years. There is a wedding, the birth of children, vacations, family holidays. You might have deleted all those photos completely. Moreover, you have a new woman, but there are children in these pictures. You can't just take them, delete them, and that's why you have to live with it. In fact, relationships with women are a very predictable algorithm. In other words, these are the same key events and checkpoints. That is why a second marriage is psychologically difficult. You've already played this game and you already know everything in advance. As a man, you've already lost that romantic innocence, and no matter how beautiful the new woman may be, you will not be an ardent romantic with her, but a cynic with baggage. Your focus will not be on how wonderful you are together, but on where and in what you can be deceived. Yes, that's the reality of a second marriage. Of course, there are times when the first marriage was so terrible that the second one is sweet. It is now 10 times cooler. It happens, but still rarely. Well, we understand that it's very difficult to accept that 90% of the events in a new relationship will be exactly the same as they were in the former relationship. You get the feeling that I've been here before? It's like watching a remake of a movie. The film may be very good, but unfortunately, you already know its script. There is another difficulty. When you have lived with a woman for 10 years, then you have a common sign language, words and looks. You have your own phrases and jokes. She can tell your mood by your walk, but the new woman doesn't understand any hints or subtleties. So you had absolute synchronization with your ex, but not with your new woman, and you'll have to spend about 3 more years on it. Also, the new woman doesn't know your old life. Let's say you're 45 and she doesn't know what you were like when you were 30, and she'll never know what happened to you at 35. And we all tend to give more importance to those people who have known us for a very long time. These people witnessed our growing up and becoming, and if you are 40 years old and you choose a new woman, then she will never fully recognize you. All that you have lived before her, it will be perceived by her as some kind of fables, legends, stories, and not all men in their second marriage want a child. Well, someone just wants a normal, comfortable woman to be with them. And often, very often, this leads to a problem, because any woman over the age of 30, and you are unlikely to choose younger, is already an old giving category. She needs to give birth right now, never later. Of course, she won't tell you about it when texting or on a first date, but not because she doesn't think about it, she does. Because it would be strange to sit in a cafe and look into your eyes and immediately say, "Listen, do you mind if I give birth to you in 9 months?" A woman without children after the age of 30 is like an athlete without medals. In general, if she needs children and you don't, then we get an unsolvable conflict. And it's better to think about this in advance. But all these difficulties that I have listed, I did not voice it so that you would be alone after the divorce. On the contrary, I have identified the problems that can and should be solved. Let's be honest, being alone at the age of 25 is a celebration. 35 is normal. At 45, you're already at your limit. You're already starting to convince yourself that everything is fine. But after 50 years, everything feels completely different. No one enjoys being alone anymore. Loneliness does not turn into freedom, but into emptiness. You suddenly find yourself looking at someone else's happy family and gritting your teeth. it's silly to think that loneliness at 60 will be the same as at 35. So you just go up to any lonely old man and ask on the street, "What do you want anyway? Is that what you're missing?" And he won't say, "I want to go to a ball or buy a car." He'll say, "I want to have someone to talk to." That's why old people go out and sit on a bench outside every day. What for? Yes, at least to have a few words with someone, at least to smile at someone. Therefore, I believe that a relationship after a divorce is necessary. You don't feel any need for it yet, but if you feel that need in 10-15 years, it may already be too late. You don't have to focus on what you want or don't want right now. You have to predict what needs you will have in 10 years. If you've been through a divorce, then you're already an experienced person. You know more than 95% of psychologists, and a new woman will be the best therapy for you to recover from this horror. Why? Because your ex-wife devalued, disrespected, manipulated and humiliated you. An inadequate woman, she gives recognition, support, respect and admiration. What could be better? And now I want to give you a technology that will help you forget your ex. Select 10 key points that were associated with your ex. That is, it can be your favorite restaurant, park, cinema, movie, or any other place. And so with a new woman, you go there to rewrite your memories. It's not enough to just come and sit. You have to create a vivid, powerful, new memory. The new emotion should be brighter than the old one. You will have to go to some places several times, and as a result, the effect of replacing anchors occurs. That is, the old anchor can only be broken with a new one. There is another interesting phenomenon. I call it the reverse gratitude effect. This is when you're already in a new relationship, and you say thank you to your ex-girlfriend because the new woman turned out to be 10 times better. The misunderstanding between you is deeper. There are no conflicts, there is more happiness, and without the betrayal of his ex-girlfriend, this would not have happened. I just want to say, thank you ex-girlfriend for showing me hell. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't appreciate a normal woman. I would not have appreciated her adequacy. I would not have noticed her concern. I would take all this for granted. The hell you created for me in my life turns out to be a stepping stone to paradise. Thank you so much for that. But probably this is still relevant for those stories when there are no children, because when there are children, it is very difficult to forgive an ex for betrayal. It is probably almost impossible to do this to the end. Well, it would be fine. A woman would only shit on me. I would forgive. But when she ruins the children's lives with her behavior, it already changes the essence of the matter. But a man after a divorce can be compared to a veteran who returned from the war. When a veteran hears a salute, he immediately lies down on the ground, and a man gets the same reflexes after a divorce. He begins to see red flags in women from afar. Here he looks at a girl and understands in advance what kind of wife she will be. These words about loyalty and love are now perceived by a man with caution. And this is not some kind of paranoia. This is an experience that will stay with a person forever. A man will now treat any woman with distrust. And when a man meets a truly kind woman after a divorce, he thinks for the first month, yes, there's a catch to it anyway. And then the second month goes by and he thinks, well, when will the tantrum start? When will she turn on the insults? The third month goes by, he thinks, well, maybe it's demo mode. And when 6 months pass, that's when the man thinks, maybe she's really normal. And only after about a year, it turns out that a man can already relax, not strain himself, and just allow himself to be happy. But the worst situation after a divorce is when a man begins to feel that she still has a family, a wife, just an ex, a child, but he just sees him on weekends. Most often a man dreams that his wife will suddenly return tomorrow. After all, at this meeting she communicated with me more brightly and warmly than usual. He's trying to recognize some signs to see that maybe she'll come back tomorrow. As a result, a person does not start a new serious relationship. And why? Because if you find a normal woman with whom you have a perfect relationship, you won't be able to accept your ex. A man understands that if an ex-wife comes with a child from her first marriage, he will not be able to refuse her, which means that a new relationship does not need to be created. I've seen people live like this for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 15 years in the void. I believe that we must decipher the signals from life correctly. And if your wife and child left you, and she left meanly, then waiting for her to come back is definitely a mistake. You're not following the path you should be following. 100%. This is a wrong turn. Most often the first marriage, it happens out of stupidity, but the second one, when you are already 40 or older, may already be smart. If at 25 you thought your wife was beautiful, then at 40 you think, so wait, I have to test this woman for adequacy first. If at the age of 20 a man does everything for her, then at the age of 40 a man says reciprocity or nothing. That is, worldly wisdom comes, and you're better now, much better than you were in your first marriage. Back then you were inexperienced, naive and weak, but now you have experience and you are strong. The worst has already happened and you've dealt with it. It's impossible for you to surprise or frighten in a relationship. You're not afraid of anything anymore. You have the right to choose a younger, pretty, adequate and loving woman. You've been through betrayal and you haven't broken down. That's why you deserve a good relationship like no one else.